Well, hey everybody, welcome back to another Photoshop User TV. We are the Photoshop guys here. I am Pete Collins, and this is Corey Boom Boom Barker.
Hello.
Oh, look, there's my name. We're gonna wait just a second, and then Corey's is gonna pop up. Corey!
Right?
Corey!
Wait for it, wait for it.
There it is. That's
all
where we are.
All right.
CoreyBaker.com. Hey, we are the Photoshop guys, and we are brought to you by Kelby One, the fine makers of Photoshop User Magazine.
See it?
10 times a year, you can get great tutorials, articles on Photoshop, and other great photography and design goodness right in there.
And I'm not just saying this to be biased. I mean, it's still to this day, it's one of my favorite magazines because not only do we contribute to the magazine, Pete and I, but it's just a massive host of who's who in photography and Photoshop. So be sure to check it out at kelby1.com. All right. What's up?
That's pretty cool. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm ready. I'm ready.
You ready?
Yes.
You're going to kick us off, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Yes. And I believe.
Hey, I tell you what, I'm feeling like I need a little 3D in my life.
Little 3D. And that's what I'm here to bring you. Now, of course, in a few days, it's going to be Valentine's Day, I think. Is that right? It's this weekend, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm all out of love.
Well, even if it is.
I'm so lost without
We're going to go,
you.
even if it is or is not, we're going to go with the love theme today. And actually, this is a really cool 3D trick I figured out. You can do something like this. If nothing else, if you and your significant other is into Photoshop and you want to do this kind of cool trick just to kind of impress them, hey, who knows? It may work. But I was goofing around with it, and so I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer. Now, here's a tool that I never used. In fact, this was the first time I used it in some real practical sense, is the freeform pen tool. Now, what the freeform pen tool is essentially lets you draw a path, but you do it freehand. It's like you're using the paintbrush or something like that. So you can just kind of draw a shape, and then when you get to the beginning, it'll close out the shape like that. So I thought 3D objects are best created when they're created from a path. So I thought, what does a rose look like from the top? So I'm just going to start drawing a shape. Actually, a little bit thicker than that. Let's just kind of draw a shape here. I need it to have a little bit sharper edge there. And then we'll just kind of come around here and draw a shape like this. And what you're doing is just creating shapes that go around, kind of hovering around the center until you close it in and actually get to that center area. Now, as you do this, you start to see that it starts to take the shape of a flower of sorts.
So it's almost like a gathering of green beans.
Yeah, sort of, yes. And I'll just put a couple more here, and maybe one right here, like that. All right. Now, that was just quick and dirty. I could certainly spend a lot more time if I really wanted to get into it.
Well, and that's the great thing about the paths is they're all editable. So you
yeah, so notice I can nudge them around, just do whatever I want with them. All right, so let me actually take all of these and let's just scale it down a little bit. And on this blank layer that I've created here, I'm going to go ahead and just fill it with red. So I'm just going to get a nice deep red color because red roses are the popular way to go. And I'm just going to go to 3D. Let's make sure the layer is selected. Go to 3D and go to New 3D Extrusion from Selected Path. And it pushes that shape out like this. Now, looks like we're missing a shape in there. Do you notice that? It's probably because it didn't close. Let me just recreate that one real quick. When you see that little circle pop up, that's when you let you know that it's a closed shape. Okay. So once again, I'm going to select that layer. We'll go to 3D Extrusion, Selected Path. There we go. Now, I'm just going to rotate a little bit. So we can see the extrusion has a default color of gray. So let's fix that. Real quickly and easily by in the Layers panel, under the 3D layer, you have Layer 1 Extrusion and Layer 1, which is the front face. So I'm just going to double click on Extrusion Material and give that the same red fill we did a moment ago. Close it, save the changes, and now the entire object is red. Now, here's where it gets cool. I'm going to go with that object selected. Let's go ahead and open up the Properties panel. And the first thing I'm going to do is jump over here to the Deform section, which is the second tab at the top. And you've got these properties like twist and taper and stuff like that. So I'm going to bring the tapering down so it makes the back half, or the back side of that shape a little bit smaller. And then I'm going to twist it. And let's bring it back to the front face, and then, hold on. I'm going to jump over to Cap section, and we're going to bring the angle of the inflate, this inflate area down here, Bring that angle all the way up to the full 90, and then just push the strength up until it pushes those shapes out a little bit. And then there we have a 3D rose. Now, go to the environment, and if you want to just add a little bit of extra to this, go and create a new image-based light. I'm just going to make it 1,000 by 1,000 pixels. And it, by default, fills it with white, so we'll just go in there and edit that. And I'm just going to invert it to make the background black. But all I'm going to do here is just give this a simple little fill of 50% gray in this little oval. That's it. That's all I'm going to do. Close it, save the changes. And now, as I move this around, you'll notice the light changes on the object. And you can give it even a little bit of a shine if you want. Let's go to that front inflation material and just boost the reflection and shine a little bit. We'll do the same to the extrusion. And then now you have a pretty glossy rose. You can do so many different things with it.
Shiny.
Shiny, pretty rose. Really quickly, right there in Photoshop. You can certainly take it and render it and add it to a design or something like that. But as I said, if it's something, just a really cool trick, you want to show a friend or loved one, if you want, right there in Photoshop. But it's a really quick and easy, cool trick using 3D, again, in Photoshop. So, isn't that neat?
That's pretty cool.
I like that.
I feel closer to you already.
Thank you. The love is certainly in the room right now. So, but why don't we do this? Let's take a quick break, and we come back. Pete's got some stuff. We've got giveaways, the usual drill. Join us right back here on Photoshop User.
MPix Pro, the full-service online photography lab, helping you grow your business with pro-quality photo products and stellar services. Get started at mpixpro.com.
Okay, we're back from the break, and I've got a quick tip for you coming up in just a minute. But first, we wanted to holler at you and give you a little more insight into the Kelby One website. If you haven't been there, Corey's going to give you a quick little rundown of what's in there.
And of course, it is at kelby1.com, and it's basically the home of everything we do here at Kelby. We've got training in Photoshop, Lightroom, photography. I mean, you think about anything you want to do as far as creative, and it's there. And just here on the site, you can actually go in and just type in what you're looking for, or just go right to the category. Say, I want to learn Photoshop. Just click on the Photoshop tab here. It's going to bring you right to that home, and this is where a lot of really great courses, and myself, Pete, we all have courses in here on so many different things about Photoshop and photography. We just do all kinds of really cool things on here, and there's new courses added every week.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just, we've got not just courses from us internally here, but just some of the best Photoshop and photography instructors in the world. These guys also teach at Photoshop World, which is going to be in Las Vegas coming up. Here, I'm going to throw a shameless plug to Photoshop World there. Coming up in August, we're still months away, but August, we're going to be in Las Vegas again at Mandalay Bay for Photoshop World. So we'll all be there. We just can't wait. So.
And the great thing about the Kelby One site is you can go in there and check it out. You can kick the tires, see what classes are there, and get a little sample of what's going on without having to sign up or do any of that. But once you see what's in there, hopefully you'll come join us because we've got a lot of great stuff over there.
Absolutely, and we're going to a lot of great things coming up. A lot of member exclusive stuff is going to be coming up in the next few months, so be on the lookout for that.
Yep.
All right. Pete, what do you have for us today?
Okay, well this was, last week I was playing around, and I'm always looking for different backgrounds and having different looking textures and stuff that I'm going to use in my designs. And so I'm always cruising and looking at some of my random old photographs because invariably I've walked along somewhere and I saw a wall or a sidewalk or something that I liked, and I start playing with that and see if there's something I can create out of that. And so if we take a look, this was just a picture of a wall that I took somewhere, and you can see it's already got some blurry. It was a shallow depth of field. It was probably low light, somewhere funky that I won't say I was trespassing, but you never know. So I was probably in a hurry, click, move on out of there. And so then I just started deciding, hey, let's play around with this and see what I can come up with. And I love the new path blur that you can use in Photoshop. If you go in, if I take the original, let's make a copy of that. Now I'm going to go in on this one, and I'm just simply going to go blur gallery, path blur, and I can just start shaping this blur right here to follow the path. But then I don't have to just stick with that. I can do another one, come back the other way, and what happens is they start fighting with each other and giving you a lot of different looks. And I like to think that you're almost like you're shaping water flowing across. That's one of the ways you can think about the blur. And so then you do a couple of those, you move them around, and you get something that is a little more free-flowing. Well, once I got through with that, I said, well, let me look at some different stuff here. So that was kind of where I went with that one. And I like taking images that have texture and then applying the blur to it, because then it gives you all that texture running through there. And so I started playing around, and I had this image right here, and I started doing some stuff with the path blur. You can see how, if you zoom in, I started even doing like some swirls and some eddies there, and there's some real definite opportunities going on there. And when I did that, I went, hey, you know, some of this stuff looks kind of like fur or something going on in there. And so I called Corey and said, hey, I think there's something here. And so then what I did is I took the path blur and I came in and I started applying it in kind of strategically trying to apply it to make fur. And boy, that resolution looks terrible there. Let me go back to this right here. So here's the thing. I figured out there's a neat way to kind of make fur background. Sometimes you need it for, let's say you're creating a horse website or something like that. Now, remember, in Photoshop, don't get caught up in the coloring, because you can always go in there and change the coloring. Look at the textures and the elements and see how you can change them. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to come back up to Filter. I'm going to go to Blur Gallery, Path Blur. And what I did the first time around, and I'm just kind of figuring out how all this stuff works myself, so I just put one right down the middle there, kind of like, you know how sometimes you look at the fur of an animal and it starts on a spine and then it drapes back down. And so I'm thinking maybe that first line is kind of like that spine area, then all the fur is going to drape off of that. So now I come in and I start another one and I bring it out, and if you just hit return, it won't keep continuing adding on points, but you can come in now and you can start draping that fur across. Do it again, come down here, hit return, and you can start working the path blur to create this sense of fur flowing across the back of an animal or whatever. And it's just got a neat effect that I thought, boy, this has a lot of possibilities. And so I don't have, you know, a whole library of fur images that I came up with. I really just started playing with this, but I just want to throw it out there as a great inspirational way that you can come in and you can start taking and using the path blur to really create some neat looks. So let's look at the top, compare it to the bottom as soon as it finishes processing. And you see how it's starting to give you that weave and that warp and that weft or whatever. I can't, you know, it's warping.
It's like the close-up of a back of a dog or something.
Yeah, and so when you get in here, and the nice thing is for backgrounds too, even zooming in, most of the time the background doesn't have to be super sharp, but now you've got all these little areas in here that you can choose from as different styles of backgrounds. I mean, just look at this flow right through here would be really nice as a background. And then I created, this is the fur section that I created, and then I changed the coloring on it, but this is, you know, you zoom in nice and close, and look at that background. And it's made from the exact same original, but I've just used the path blur to create kind of this extra funky action going on through there. And that's a dynamic background that really can jazz up one of your designs. You throw that on the background and then put some stuff in the foreground, and it'll be a really fun thing to do. So, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, the one thing it makes me think of, and you get a fur background like that, is clipping that, like say you're doing a logo for a pet shop or something like that, and clipping that texture in the text.
Yep.
And then you could dress up the text, and you basically got text made of fur and like that. So I mean, there's a lot of possibilities certainly with that, you know. And the fact that you can try it on almost any texture, any abstract texture will give you something interesting, I'm sure. You know, so.
Yep. And in the next week's show, I'm going to show you a couple more things that you can do with blur background and give you a couple quick tips on things when you get in trouble. But it was just a fun thing that I came across. Said, man, this would be fun to play with, and I thought y'all might enjoy playing with it as well.
Yet another use for textures. All right. We have another Peach Pit ebook deal this week. There it is right there. You can see it's Copyright Workflow for Photographers. Protecting, Managing, and Sharing Digital Images by Christopher S. Reed. I thought I was about to say Christopher's Reed, but there you have it. And of course, you can just go to peachpit.com and use the, is it the Kelby one?
Yeah, you're going to go to peachpit.com/Kelby1 and make sure you put in the coupon code Kelby1 to make sure you get 40% off that ebook deal.
Yeah, I blanked out there. We usually have a teleprompter, but it's on the fritz right now. Now, we have a giveaway. This week we have a really cool book. I actually thumbed through this book just for the show. First time I've seen it. It actually looks like a really...
I know, I was like, where's that book been? Yeah. I want that book. We might not give this one
I
away.
might actually take this one and we'll just get another one to give away. But here we have Logo Design Love by David Airy. I think I'm saying that right. Really fascinating. I mean, like I said, I was just kind of thumbing through it, and just
there's some good stuff in there.
Really good stuff. If you're into logo design, or if you've been doing logo design, it certainly is a great resource. And we are going to give this copy away. Well, maybe
after we've thumbed through it and made some notations of ourselves.
We will give a copy away. Let's put it that way. But Pete, how will they win such a book?
Well, Corey, you want to go to the Kelby1.com page. Go to Kelby1.com/contest. And make sure to choose Photoshop User TV from the drop-down menu. Add all your information in there. Leave us a comment, joke, whatever. We do read your comments. We get them. We appreciate all the jokes that have been sent out, except for you, Robert Norris. You've got issues. I'm just saying. Oh, I got to be looking here. As they said, stop looking at that camera right there. You, Robert Norris, have issues. Of course, I think that's why we like you, because we have issues too.
Well, and I want to point out too, it's just like we definitely want your suggestions. Anything you want to see on the show. Pete and I love showing you stuff that we come up with. We love experimenting, coming up with new tricks, but we want to know, you know, we've all had issues.
Right.
Coming up in this industry, we ran into obstacles and we wanted to know how to fix them. So we would love to help you out. So by all means, send us your problems, your issues, or anything you just want to see here on the show.
Well, your Photoshop issues.
Your Photoshop issues.
Well, and the thing is, that usually springboards us into something else. We may discover something trying to figure out the question for you. And just remember that we, each have our own strengths and weaknesses. So if you ask me about computer processing and stuff like that, you're just going to get a blank look. If you ask me about brushes and stuff like that, I'm the guy. 3D, that's the man right there.
But so, if it's above either one of us, we know people that certainly can
We
find
might
out.
have a connection with somebody, yeah.
All right, that does indeed wrap it up this week for Photoshop User TV. Thank you for joining us. Pete, thank you.
Corey.
Until next time, which will only be just a few minutes.
Yeah, well, I like how I started out running the show and then he just takes over. No. He just takes over.
It's just a habit. All right, take it out then.
No. My heart is closed.
Let's
All right, we'll do it
together. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.
We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next time. Thanks so much for being with us. Check us out next week right here at Photoshop User TV.
Bye-bye.